about the same, but if you wanted to move 5 words, then it's a lot faster to type 5W than to hit W 5 times for moving your cursor. And you can also move it to the end of the word with E instead of W, which will get you to the beginning of the word. This is very helpful for deleting things quickly, because you can delete forward or backwards from your current location by a certain number of words. You just combine first the operator, then the count, and then the motion that you want. So your operator is delete, you want a count of 2, and you want to move forward or backwards from where you are right now. And now we have a demo for these things.
So just so that you have seen all of these slides, you can see how it just makes sense to for all of these commands, it's just like delete 2 words. So you don't have to remember anything, you just do D2W. It's just all in the grammar of Vim. The developers made it easier so that you don't have to memorize stuff, it just flows naturally. So let's do a demo. So right now, as whenever you open a Vim, our text editor, you are presented in a normal mode and inside Vim. And you can even see that if you, I'll just make it bigger. So if you look at the shape of my cursor, it's a block right now, and this signifies inside Vim that you're in normal mode. So let's say if I'm on this word, and if I wanna go into insert mode, I just do I, and now I can just start typing whatever I want. And similarly, if you want to go to the end of the line or beginning of the line and you want to start enter, let's say you were in the middle of the line and you want to go to the start of the line and start entering stuff, you just do Shift I or uppercase I, which puts you in the insert mode, and you're also at the start of the line, and then you can start typing again. Same thing can be done if you want to go to the end of the line. So this is what is called as append inside Vim. And if you do Shift A, you go towards the end of the line, and again you can start entering stuff here. One interesting thing that you guys saw was the motions inside Vim. So if you want to delete a word or delete everything inside the quotes right now, what you can do is you can do D, which is an operator inside Vim, which does something to your text. So D. So if you look at the bottom right hand side of Vim, you can see it's looking at what you are typing in normal mode. So it says you have entered D word. So then I want to delete everything inside the quotes. So it just I and quotes. So if I do D, I and a quote, it just deletes everything inside the quotes. And let's say you want to delete everything inside the bracket, you do D, I, and the kind of bracket you are in. So bracket. And all of this is happening in normal mode. We had more motions. So motions here represents the movement inside the text file. So if you just do W, you go to the next word. So if I hit W, it goes to the next word, next word, next word. And we can, instead of repeating it, you can append a number in the front of the motion. So let's say I want to go 4 words forward. So I do 4 and W, it goes 4 words forward. So this is a motion, and this motion can be combined with operators. So let's say I want to delete 2 lines right now, so I will do delete 2 lines. So I do 2 and delete. So for deleting a line, it's DD. I think that's going to come again up in the slides, but any operator can be combined with numbers to repeat the motion.
Now this is what Sartak just demonstrated. Often you will be deleting a whole line, so there's a simple command for that, DD, and you can also combine it with a number to delete a certain number of lines in the downward direction. And There is an option to have line numbers in Vim, and they can be very helpful for determining what number to use for the count. I think we will talk about that near the end of the presentation. This Yank and Put are Vim's version of copy and paste. So to copy a line, you'll do YY, or Y can also be used like delete in combination with a motion. And then when you want to paste what you've just copied, you can type a lowercase p, which will put your copied text after the cursor, or a capital P, which will put it before the cursor. And now we mentioned visual mode earlier, which is used for selecting text. If you use a lowercase v while you're in normal mode, if you hit V, that will allow you to use H, J, K, and L to move your cursor and select a chunk of text. A capital V will be line visual mode, where you select by lines. Or Control V, which is block visual mode, and that allows you to select, you could select like 3 characters across in one line, and then you can move your cursor down and it will just select that square of text. So if you want something that's just at the end of every line or just at the beginning of every line, you can select that section to change it, and you don't have to select the entire line. And now we have a demo.
So inside Vim, since Vim is a terminal-based editor, people generally don't like to use mouse. So that's why we had shown you the visual mode. So let's start off by seeing what's the visual mode. So if you just hit the key V on your keyboard, it's just gonna start selecting. It's basically like if you start selecting stuff using your mouse pointer. And let's say let's say I selected this whole chunk of text and I want to delete it. You can just hit the D button to delete it. So D deletes it. Or we also saw another operator, which was clear, or C. That will also delete it, but also put you inside insert mode. So you can just start instantly typing after deleting the text. And then we also have line visual mode. So what that allows you to do is select multiple lines at a time. So if I do Shift V or uppercase V, it's going to select whole chunk of lines at a time. So I can just go down, hit the down key, it's going to select that line, hit the down key, it's going to select that line, and let's say I want to delete them, you just hit the D button. And with the copy and paste, it's very simple. You just do YY, and it just copied the whole line into a Vim buffer. So Vim buffers are just like variables inside Vim, which holds some kind of information or text inside Vim. It's somewhere in the memory. I am not really I don't understand it quite well, but that's what my understanding is. It just saves it somewhere inside Vim's memory, and then you can just paste it anywhere you want. Let's say I want to paste the text that I just copied into the Vim buffer. You just do P, which is just the paste. And just so that if you're wondering how am I undoing all that stuff, it's just the key U for undo. Let's move on to the last part, or I guess last part. Okay, I'll take there. So you can even execute shell commands inside Vim and take the output of shell commands that you run, take it back into Vim to play with it. So I'm going to show you a demo for that. And there's some more random tricks. Let's say you were on you wanted to go to a matching bracket inside a function. Let's say you had a bunch of brackets lined up together and you want to go to the matching bracket on the same line. What you can do is you can hit the % key and it's going to take you to the matching parentheses or a bracket on that same line. So let's look at this in action. So executing shell command. So you can just run any command as you are running in bash. By first you have to be in normal mode, then you press the colon key, and then you can start typing your command with a shebang or bang or an exclamation mark, followed by any commands you want. So if I just run ls, it just shows you the files in current directory. But what you can do with this is, you can, let's say if you run xxd on current file, so current file in Vim is represented by a % symbol. So what this is going to do is, okay, I need to prepend this with the bang. What this is going to do is, it's going to run xxd on current file and get it back into the Vim editor. So if I run that, there you go, you have the output of the command back into the Vim, and then you can play with it. And the way this can be useful for you is, if you're playing with string manipulation commands in terminal like grep and sed, so you don't have to leave Vim, you can just keep playing with them inside Vim. Then there is search and replace. You can do searching and replacing in Vim, and the way this works is, if you have used the sed command in Linux, it's very similar to that syntax. What you do is, you start with you're in normal mode, you start with a colon. So any commands you want to give to Vim, explicit commands you want to give to Vim, you have to first press the colon key, and then you start with the S key, which means you're going to be doing some kind of string manipulation, and then you start doing the same sed kind of syntax in Vim. And the syntax is, first you give the search string. Let's say you want to search for a word, any word in the in your file, and then followed by a /, then the replace string. So this search string will be replaced by this replace string, followed by some flags that you can do. Let's say you want to replace the whole occurrence of a word or occurrence of your search string across the whole file. You're gonna have the flag as G, which means global. So you want to change it globally. And there's more stuff you can see. If you want to substitute just next 10 lines, you can give a /10 at the end. So it's just going to substitute in next 10 lines. And also, yeah, this Vim supports Regex. It has native support. So if you love Regex, you can do all sorts of crazy stuff in your file and do search and replace. Now with this, the last part we want to discuss is the macros, which I don't personally use it, but it's a very neat feature that Vim provides, and if you can master it, you can really cut down the time that you're doing if you're editing any file. So if you're doing any kind of system administrator stuff, you're cleaning up files, this can come very handy. So the way Vim macros works is, you assign a task to a key, and then so a key, I mean any key on your keyboard. Then you record a task, and after that you can replay that task just by hitting one key. So let's just see that in the demo real quick. So let's say I have these directories, and for some reason I had a misspelled the ini. This was actually .conf files in my system. So I want to replace the occurrence of ini to conf in each of these lines. So one way would be to just do a search and replace, or I will show you how to do this using a macro. So to start recording the macro, what you would do is, you would hit the Q key in normal mode. You would just hit the Q key, and then follows is the key you want to bind this task to. So let's say you want to bind this task to 8, the key 8 on my keyboard. So as you can see, the bottom corner, it says recording at 8. So now whatever tasks you perform in Vim is recorded and is being assigned to this key 8, and it can be repeated. So let's try to edit this line. So what I'll do is, I'll go to append mode. I'll append at the end of the line with Shift A, and I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to type conf, and I'm going to go back to normal mode. So that is done. And now I want to stop the recording. So what you can do is you can hit the Q key back to stop the recording. So Q starts it and Q also ends it. So now it's being recorded and it's assigned to the key 8. And to repeat this onto next line, what you can do is you can hit the key at 8. It just did the same thing on this line. It replaced the word ini. So if I go to next line, I can again do at 8. And I can, if I want to repeat the task, so at 8 is also like 2 keys. If you want to cut that down, you can do a special key in Vim, which is the dot key, which repeats the last operation you did in Vim. So if I just hit the dot key, it's going to do it. Dot key. Just going to keep doing it. You can even make your macros more powerful so that it goes to the next line automatically. I didn't do that. I have to manually go into next line, but you can even record that into a macro and just automate the task. Sure.
Do macros persist between sessions?
No, I think you can make them persist. I'm not sure how you can do that, but I'm pretty sure you can do that. But by default, it does not. As soon as you exit it out, it's gonna be gone.
And there are also options to make Vim look prettier or act more like a traditional IDE. One good option for this is Lunar Vim, which builds off of NeoVim. It offers syntax highlighting based on your language, and it also has the file view on the side and native Git support. You can also add themes for this, and it has the line numbers on the side. You can open multiple files that will show up in tabs across the top. So with Lunar Vim, Vim will function pretty much just like VS Code. And it has the Git is in a menu at the bottom, which you can access by pressing the space bar in normal mode.
I think with that, this comes to the end of the presentation. If you want to learn more, I highly suggest you read the help page. And there's also an option called Vim Tutor. If you just type in tutor in your Vim, it's gonna in your NVim, NeoVim, it's gonna take you through a series of tasks that you have to do, and it checks that if you have performed the task completely or not, and gives you a little tick at the inside NeoVim, and it's very cool stuff. You can just learn more about Vim there. We took some of our content from Vim Tutor. There's also actually a game that you can play online. It's a website. You can just go to vimadventures.com, and it's after some level it's paid, but the first level is free, and it kind of helps you get the feeling of using @JKL keys instead of arrow keys, and using W for skipping a word, and just basically getting those Vim shortcuts learned pretty easily. I think that's the end of our presentation. Any questions? Sure.
What's a quick way to name a file when you just press escape?
So what you can do is you can do W to write, and then the name of the file. Let's say test1. It's gonna name it test1 and save it.
Okay, that's like a save as functionality.
Yes,
So
that's a
it
save
won't
as.
edit the original, it'll write.
No, it will write to test1.
Okay.
Cool. Alright, just quickly before series and Smash's first time presenting, please give them a round of applause.
Thank you.